Ladies and gentlemen, you are now listening to the Talking Nonsense About Impact Wrestling podcast. Cross the line in 3, 2, 1.
What is going on, my Impact fam? Welcome to episode 115 of the Talking Nonsense About Impact Wrestling podcast. My name is Jeff, and alongside me, I was going to say as always, but you're back again this week. He is the Eric Young to my suicide. We are the Salty Biscuits. What's going on, Lucha?
Here.
Salty
What's
Biscuits.
happening?
Stupid.
Shout out to the Salty Biscuits, the greatest tag team in TNA history.
Yes. If you have no clue what the hell we're talking about, that is because we are old and we know the history of TNA. And by that we mean we watched it this week in the Treehouse for LOL TNA episode 2. Had to be reminded, but you guys get to watch along with us. It is the TNA video game. We're doing the story mode watch along, so watch that with us, us and Johnny. It's a good time. And then, of course, check out last week's LOL TNA, where we talk total nonstop deletion, and episode 3 coming out a week from now, but we're filming it, right? We tape it a week back, so I won't, no spoilers. But Lucha, a lot to talk about.
Spoiler free since 83. You need to add that on a banner somewhere.
We do, because this show included. There are going to be some topics we talk about today, including the X tournament and where we're at with that. Some notes about character change for Taylor Wilde. We got some questions from you guys regarding VBD and also Impact running ads on AEW as well as Raw, like we talked about last week. So spending some that cash. But yeah, we have a lot of fun things to talk about. Hopefully the chat lights up. Let us hear it if you are in the chat. But we want to thank you for all the numbers and where we're continuing to go. We're all keeping you there. What's going on, Datila? Speaking of numbers, we'll hit Power Rankings top 10 in just a second. But thanks, guys. Still trying to get to 4,000 on Twitter. Trying to get to 350 on YouTube. But as we always say, one friend at a time, one fan at a time. Goes for this. It goes for Impact Wrestling as well. And this week, I think we get a fun Impact Wrestling show to talk about. Definitely progressing some storylines about where we're headed. Hey, what's going on there, Goldie? Lucha, what are you most excited to talk about tonight?
Man. Besides the power rankings, because, I threw mine in and just kind of skated out, so I don't know how the tallies came up at the end. And I'm really looking forward to running the numbers up on this tag team counter,
Yeah, I shouted you out when I was watching there on Twitter. It's growing. It's growing. And I know you said it off, Barry, but maybe we'll make it happen next week. Would have been a perfect time to bring back the Impact Zone. But a lot of divisions being defined. So we'll talk about that. But of course, we mentioned it, so we might as well get into it. GoGoPowerRankings. If you guys want to be part of it, it's really simple. At BurtMacklin11 or at TNAIWChannel. Write us on Twitter. DM us. You go in the chat after the show Thursdays, and then before Sundays at noon, you put in your top 10, you peace out. As Lucha said, you just put it in there, you throw it in there, and you can dip out and then see the results here. I made the video, and the results will be a surprise to me. So let's see that. And yes, happy Halloween Eve. Shout out to Io, who's in the chat, the Twitter man himself. Let's get him to 4K. He deserves it. But let's get into Power Rankings.
Fortune 4K.
Fortune 4.
Number 10, Vex and Giselle Shaw. Number 9, Steve Macklin. Number 8, I Believe in Joe Henry. Number 7, Advancing Black Taurus. Number 6, Advancing Trey Miguel. Number 5, World Champion Josh Alexander. Number 4, Bay and Ace Bullet Club. Number 3, Hardcore Country Mickey James. Number 2, Cardona and Myers, the major players. Number 1, World Champion Jordan Grace.
So maybe not that controversial, right? I don't know. She said she had a clap for Joe Hendry. Yes, I did.
I almost did.
What's your thoughts, man? I think the glaring one for me, I'll just say that. I'll get that in there before I forget. Tasha and Savannah, man. Thought they made a statement on the show. Really dug where it seems they're headed. We'll talk about that. But for you, is there a glaring miss?
I mean, I'm right there with you with Tasha and Savannah, but yeah, I mean, they had to be number 11 though, right?
Taylor Wilde actually was number 11. I actually remember that because
what? I completely overlooked the fact that she didn't hit the top 10. That's fucking wild to me.
Heath and Rhino shortly thereafter as well. Yeah, a lot of people getting votes. Alan Angel's getting a vote. VBD even getting votes. So yeah, if you guys want to make a difference, it literally, there you go. I see, I can't do it.
I had to think about it. I almost had a heart attack trying to figure it out.
Impact Wrestling one.
I mean,
yeah. A lot of that. Hey. But I don't know. I'm okay with it. I'm glad Steve Macklin got on here. I know he does. I thought he deserved it a couple weeks back because we were concerned of what was going to happen with Macklin. We got our answer, and at least he's being featured really heavily into a lot of storylines, mainly the world title. So once again, you can make a difference by joining the Power Rankings and also watching GoGo Power Rankings every Tuesday with Bert and Datila, killing it right now. Watch their show. And before we get to Wednesday's quick announcement, you're obviously going to watch Talking Bloody Nonsense this Thursday. They always come through at 4 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. BST, Craig and Nixon. And boy, do they have a great TBN chats that will air this Wednesday. It is the one and the only Zach Zodiac. So a great one there. The legacy of the Knight family living on through Zach Zodiac.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so check that out with them, man. I know they're happy to have it, and it's a great listen. So check that out Wednesday and then Thursday. Lucha, we talked about the Power Rankings, though. We got our plugs in. Let's get into the show.
Whoa.
We own the night.
Adrenaline rush.
Let's get into, speaking of that, let's start with BTI, the adrenaline rush that is BTI.
Ooh.
Yeah, no, I was really happy. I will say that about the Power Rankings. I was really nervous when I was adding them up first. That I didn't think Black Taurus would get in there, but he won. He obviously advanced in the X tournament, so rightfully so. But before we get to that, we had Iceman Intel, which really smartened us up that Honor No More. Vincent was in the hospital. Maria is injured. And what was the other one? Eddie is going to have a sit-down interview, and OGK is furious. So thank you, Iceman. But the match we get here did not disappoint. Black Taurus defeating Laredo Kid and advancing in the X tournament. All the love to Laredo Kid, by the way, if you haven't seen on his Instagram. I know we put out on Twitter as well, but man, show your love to that guy. Had to have emergency surgery. Hopefully everything's in the clear, but fortunately here for get well, but Black Taurus wins here. Really dug I don't know if you got to catch it. I know you're not an avid BTI dude, but Crazy Steve did the introduction here, which I thought was really cool. Kind of made it a big feel. Kind of did a little Matthew Raywall of his own there, introducing Black Taurus before he came out. So it was pretty cool.
Interesting. I'm gonna have to go and check that.
Yeah, and I think it's something to keep notice. A little bit of flavor put into the entrance of Black Taurus at an interesting time. So, but we start the main show, and we are going to bunch a few of these up. We'll talk about them, don't worry, as a whole, but a lot of talking here. A lot of progress of storylines, but a lot of talking. And, can you say, I see Millard saying Iceman is the less name of Impact Wrestling.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with Io. Taylor was on the winning team, and yet Giselle and Vex got ranked.
There's a lot of love for Vexed in the group. Hey, TU's 1990, what's going on? And thank you for making it. Yeah, we start the show with Scott firing the Kingdom. Firing the Kingdom. So, there's that. But, once again, if this is a different universe, whatever, there's no reasoning there. It's just a way to make
I don't know where you were going.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just saying that maybe because, I don't, for one, watch AEW, that I can say that they were fired and then showed up afterwards. I don't know. Whatever, doesn't matter. But
it
that's
kind of looks like they got fired for showing up.
that's
That's what
the,
it kind of looks like. It's like, bro, what? How you go? Yeah, fuck you.
let's spin it. Let's spin it. And you can look at it and say who's the winners, who's the losers in this. But it does suck. It's a loss for us in. There's a couple other opportunities I thought we had recently that we'll talk about in the YouTube the hot topics and your comments. Hot ass topics. But yeah, I thought they could be players here for a while, help us build something. But hey, man, you want to be on ROH on TBS? I don't blame you. All right, so yeah, they're fired. Let's move on.
Ring of Honor on True TV.
It's right after Impractical Jokers.
Hell yeah, with the True TV Trios tag titles.
Hey, it beats. Hey, at least they don't get Bigfoot right after Bigfoot or whatever the hell we used to have to.
Schitt's Creek.
Hey, who's laughing now?
Right. Josh was right this whole time. Schitt's Creek is the shit.
All right.
Creek.
Shout out to Josh for being right all these years. Next up, or the first match of the night here, is once again we're bookended by a really important matches, main events, if you will. But X Division tournament, the second matchup of it, it's Trey Miguel defeating Alan Angels. Wasn't nervous. Trey had this in the bag, I think, from the bell. In a kayfabe sense, I mean, it just felt like they're not going to make the mistake here. Your thoughts on, I don't think Alan Angel's sticking around, but your thoughts on the match and obviously right call with Trey advancing?
I mean, I was kind of cool with either one of them winning to keep it 100 with you. Like, I wouldn't have minded if Alan Angels would have won, because that would have meant, that would have answered your next question. Does he stick around for a little bit? Yeah, he's in the next round. And then with Trey, Trey's Trey. So anytime Trey gets a dub, it's always a good time, and you can go and smoke one for the homie. So I'm glad. I'm glad Trey got the dub. I wouldn't have cared who won it. The match was ridiculous. I love this old school TNA X Division action we're getting. Yeah. I love this TNA vibe they're trying to install back into the show.
Yeah, I agree. I see some. Can you get fired if you were never hired? Time for Trey to move up to the next level. I don't know, man.
I mean, it's the X Division. That's like our thing. So
yeah, I just think
that if anything be a demotion.
No, I think Trey could stick around, get another reign in there, and have burn some time until the tag. I mean, the end game for me is the Rascals. I would love to see him back in that. And of course, eventually could he get some play when we have with the DMC and stuff? Sure. But there's so much above him right now that's they need to rehabilitate. I don't know if moving him up is the cost, but regardless, he's still in here. Okay, and I was okay. I said this last week. I'm okay with whoever wins the X Division tournament. I really am. I'll back it because all 8 are interesting. It's different. Even if Bailey wins again, the story is, can he get back to that? Can he beat that record he was shooting for? So there's a lot to play no matter who won. Alan Angels, though, man, I'm going to be honest. I don't know if it was the glasses almost falling off. It was just like gimmick after like Dollar Tree Daniels is what I had to. I was not feeling it, man. And yeah, I wasn't feeling it.
Not Christoph Danielle.
No. Just Daniels. Daniels. I don't know if it was all the gimmicks, the earring, the two big aviators, the thing. It just, I don't know. I don't know, man. But I didn't feel it. If he sticks around, cool, man. I'm always down to be proven wrong. But it seems a lot of the hype is because of where he was prior. Maybe I'm wrong. Prove me wrong. Anyways, next up was I got Bullet Club and EV 3.0 talking in the back. You did it. You did it.
The Fat and the Furious.
The Fat and the Furious. You did it. I did it. Look, keeping Bully on the screen without taking time, they're not elevating him. They're elevating, Bay and Ace here. I'm still about a whodunit. I thought the whodunit was kind of solved between, them two because Bully said, it wasn't me. No.
It wasn't me.
But either way, we're gonna get a match out of this. Dreamer versus
Snitsky.
Dreamer versus it wasn't my fault. Next up was Vex and Giselle Shaw. And guys, I'm going to run through some of this because a lot of it was just progression. Progression, you know what the talk was. Doesn't mean it was bad, but it was a lot. I will say that. And that did take a play on my rating for it. But obviously, they're in the main event tonight. Giselle seeming right now cohesive in this group. Fitting in cohesively. But it looked like she kind of... We'll talk about it later, but it looks like the eventual or inevitable split is there, which is what we want long term. Talk about the divisions, but speaking of which, I want to skip over Tasha and Savannah destroy, even though they lose. Destroy, and we're going to butcher this. We tried 3 different ways. Raquel, Rachel. One of those.
Her opponent for this evening was in an unfortunate situation to where she got her ass whooped.
Yeah. But they pick up the DQ, which obviously wasn't the point here. She picks up the DQ win, which wasn't the point. The point was reestablishing Tasha and Savannah's dominance. We've been talking about it week after week. We'll talk about it later, but it just makes sense. It just makes sense for them to be a tag team and swing over to that, if that's what we perceive now to be the least depth amongst the divisions. But I thought this was a great way to establish them. Lucha, your thoughts?
I'm cool with Randy Orton, Tasha Steelz.
Yeah,
how she went and got all slithery and and also this is just for my own personal agenda. When old girl was coming up, she hit the gun, bow, and then hit the cutter. Yeah. Bullet Club, where's that application? Because I know she's put one in.
It's interesting. Well, you've talked about that. You mentioned that would be a great fit. Then I think that was even before she hooked up with Savannah. No, because she must have, she hooked up with Savannah. Yeah, she would have been with Savannah. And I think, honestly, this was a play for both of them to fit in there. Does it happen? I don't know. But we're going to talk about, obviously, Juice leaving. Obviously, it seems to be finished up with the company, signing with AEW. They're going to need some Bullet Club members. And they could keep sending us some people in there. And was this the start of it? I don't know. But both of them teams going after the tag belts would be pretty interesting shit. So I love this here, man.
Club domination.
Yeah, and I really dug this episode for this. Did it have a lot of moments? Maybe a little TNA video game backstage segments. A lot. Yeah, sure. But it progressed and developed, and that's what we really need right now. But next up was Heath and Rhino, and they're talking to some guy about being the tag champs.
Yeah.
And this is a connecting segment because obviously there's a commercial there. I watch on YouTube later, so it obviously no commercial. I don't see it, but
it was commercials about dick pills, and I'm not lying.
Oh, I believe you.
Access has some crazy commercials.
The evolution of Impact commercials. There should be just a video of the main one because it's always like the same video is always running.
Me and Goldie have seen the evolution of the commercials, but there's still a long way to go. Yeah. I think we've made it a month without a Blue Chew commercial, and that kind of makes me feel good.
See, I don't get to see these. Obviously, there's Morpleplex before. There was Gretchen Wilson. There was Stacker 2 or whatever it was. There was all those different ones in the lore of TNA history. ROH.
Direct insurance.
Direct insurance, right? ROH is, if someone asked me, the one I would think of then is Jay Lethal and a knee brace. Is that a knee brace? Is that the one that they would always sell? Someone correct me in there. T. Hughes 1990 says no middle finger glove for Daniels. Yeah, he didn't have that gimmick. No, but let's keep marching on here because this is was split, like I said, or was alluding to there, and then it picks back up. So we're gonna go Heath and Rhino and Motor City Machine Guns making their ploy of we should get a shot. We cut away, we go back, and Motor City's approaching Scott's office at he said St. Jude's. Yep, that's another one. Was the Sarah McLachlan sad animal one?
No, thank God.
No,
No,
that
thank
wasn't
God.
one.
No,
I
thank
swear
God.
that was a
I
Spike
could-
one. I swear that was a Spike one. Anyways, as well as the Native American banking company. Someone's got to find that video for me. I know it exists because it ran all the time at Spike. Anyways, let's keep moving. So Heath and Ryan, then we come back. Motor City is approached by major players who are also going to Scott for a title shot opportunity. This leads to Cardona versus Shelley tonight, man. And I didn't know the card that I didn't know we were walking into that match, and yeah, that was good shit. That popped me.
I saw Cardona announce it, and he was like, for the first time ever, and I'm like, huh, that's cool. I wonder why. And we found out why. I had made a comment in the Brace for Impact chat that I'm in. It was a perfect WWE versus TNA like match because they both wrestled like as that style. It was like a perfect clash of Cardona, the WWE style cat, coming in and wrestling fucking Shelly, the TNA OG. You know what I'm saying? It's like a
Yeah, I
you
can see
know
that because they're both in the heyday, both in opposite
yeah.
companies. Yeah, that makes sense. But before we get to that, we got to get to Chris Bay and Tommy Dreamer. And it's what you expect, Tommy Dreamer. And it's, I didn't think it was offensive. Shout out to Johnny for that. But look, Chris Bay picks up a win. They showed the graphic last week. Shout out to the graphics in general on the overlays here, man. From Match graphics that are talking about what's going to happen later in the night or what's happening now. Been looking really good and enjoying those, man. Enjoying those. Little big things. But yeah, Chris Bay defeats Tommy Dreamer. Chris has Ace with him, and Tommy has Bully, so keeping Bully relevant without having him take up the spotlight there. And Chris getting the win. Here's too many more, but we'll see where this goes. I don't think we'll see too much of it as far as continuing. Shout out to Bert, who's in there. But we still don't know who. I doubt they're just going to drop the Bullet Club whodunit thing. So, but I think it might be done with Tommy and Bully. I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know. I think I feel like we obviously get Bullet Club versus Fat and the Furious at Overdrive because I mean that especially the pairing of Ace and Bay because
That's fair.
Technically didn't get it, you know what I'm saying? So we can still we can run that back thing, but if they're not done, the logical way to go is just give them another match on pay-per-view and see what happens.
Yeah, and this card is filling up, and that would just be another good one that would end. Maybe you end it there clean, right? But we also November 20th is a long ways away, so maybe, hopefully, well, I don't know. Maybe they'll end it up sooner, short up sooner. But either way, it's the rise of Bullet Club. It looks like. Number 10, well, without Juice, which we'll talk about. Impact Plus Moment of the Week, which I thought was very important. I was talking to you off air about this. But, someone had mentioned prior about ECW nostalgia, and I felt my answer last week was I feel like more of it's a TNA nostalgia tour. And the amount of... I don't know if I don't think there's anything we could play into this later, so I'll say it here. So it actually makes sense, but I feel like our identity for so long, or we had no identity for so long because we were running from our previous one, right? We wanted to get away from TNA. We take away the name and the colors, then we take away the pay-per-view names. We don't talk about the legacy or the lineage too much, maybe a random package here and there. Then we slowly started getting back into it, and I mentioned my example was the Homecoming one, the TNA. They didn't even know if they could chant TNA or they should, if it was a step back, and they got cut off, whatever. So,
to my knowledge, they did, and that shit got shut down. Like I think I remember like a faint TNA chant or like a "We Want Dixie." I remember that chant got shut the fuck down. But "We Want Dixie" chant.
Yeah. So I think my point being though is that we were just kind of unsure of if speaking about TNA was something you could say and not get laughed at or whatever the deal was at that time. So now that we're back into the groove of things, it makes a lot of sense to which we've been talking about is that we had no identity even more recently. Like, what is our identity? It's we have a logo, we have a look, we know our history now. We're taking that back a little bit. We're talking about the the importance of the reigns. I thought they did a great job with that graphic today about Josh's reigns and where he stacks up. We'll talk about the X Division one in a bit, but they've been talking about the reigns and Mike Bailey's importance of his reign and what he was doing, and then what Josh did, and so on and so on. There's a lot of examples. So they've done a really great job about that. And if the next step is rebranding or whatever we want to keep saying it seems to be on the push for, it's safe to say that TNA legacy is going to be included in it. And for that reason, bringing in Bully and stuff was another win in my book, because there's not many people that could come in, still play the part, that have that TNA lore still and that are active in the game. So.
Yep, that are active and that are easily accessible to us. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not like we can just bring in AJ, Kurt, Sting.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Hey, come wrestle Josh Alexander. You know, that's not exactly easy. Even though recent events might say otherwise. You heard Nakamura's fighting Great Muta?
Yeah, that's something. We have a little kind of a transition from that later, as far as a question, I believe. Someone asking about, could there be some WWE We Got Mickey before? Could that be a possibility down the road? And that Nakamura thing is a good sign that they're more open to helping everyone else, not named AEW.
Yeah.
But let's keep going through this so we can get to those cool hot topics that we got planned out here. Cool hot. Is that an oxymoron? Cool hot topics.
Cool hot topics.
Speaking of the Treehouse, check us out Tuesdays, 8 p.m. right after GoGo Power Rankings. All right, so we get that flashback, and right after the flashback is Aussie Open with a little promo package saying, hey, we're going to open an issue challenge, an open challenge, excuse me, and eventually we figure out it gets picked or accepted by Josh and Kazarian. Hey, happy to have Aussie Open back. Continues the storyline with Josh and Frankie without having to do the, oh, I'm bad now all of a sudden bullshit. But we'll see where it goes. Two faces doesn't always. We got 4 weeks of no, not 4. 1, 2, 3 episodes at least, I think, before Overdrive. So we'll see how this plays out. But cool to see Aussie Open back. Tag team counter. There we go. Next up is Bully and Tommy, so we get them talking here. And to be honest with you, you could put a gun to my head right now, and I could not tell you what it was they were talked about. Do you not believe
them? Probably bingo halls and tables, barbed wire.
Oh, okay.
Thumbtacks.
That's true. Beulah McGill.
Brooke Hogan.
I screwed you. So next up was the match you already talked about, and I agree with you, man. I thought it was cool, and taking a look from that perspective as well, it's even cooler because it's they were two dudes who were at the time of when, I won't say there was a war whatsoever, but a respectable rivalry of a little bit of a ruffling the feathers from TNA.
They were both on fire. TNA, WWE, like 05, 06, 07, they were both kind of on fire.
It was good TV.
At the same time. It was.
It was a good time to be in wrestling. Good time to be in wrestling. 3 more of Vegas. Okay, thank you, T. Hughes. So yeah, we got 3 more of Vegas tapes. But yeah, man, Cardona picking up the win here. Wasn't clean cut, so I like that. Love the major players together. Love Motor City Machine Guns. Just won the IWGP Strong, yeah?
Yeah, the Strong titles, whatever that means.
So congratulations.
The New Japan US tag titles is what I'm going to start calling them.
Is that fair enough? But I like this, man. Both of them legends in the game in their own right, and like you said, 2 tag teams that were existent in the time of TNA versus WWE, or however you want to call it. Now here's another segment connector, so we're gonna burn through this, but it's Josh talking to Rich about, hey Rich, you're moving your way up again, so congrats, buddy. And then Gail comes in, then Macklin comes in, then Kazarian comes in, and then originally Gail had came in to warn Josh, or no, to say Bully's whatever, right?
Bully's a bully.
Bully's a
Bully
bully.
taught me everything.
Right. The most I learned in
Wow.
wrestling.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
man.
And then, so Rich had exited by that point. Gail came in, cool. Then Macklin, and then Kaz making the save. Josh and Kaz eventually chatting away, and that's how we get them to accept the Aussie Open Challenge. So keeping it.
Steve Macklin come through, beat ass, just kick ass backstage and gets number 9. I
Yep.
don't hate it. I like it.
Yeah,
I
man.
like it.
I thought he was owed
That's
it.
mayhem.
I thought he was owed it,
Hmm.
and it really helps define that division as far as who's Josh's next guy without being his next guy. Tell me who's his next guy without telling me it's their next guy. That's
Yeah,
what we want, man. That's what we've been begging for, is someone who wants that title and will do anything for it and wants to beat Josh man to man, eye to eye. So they're doing it right here, man. So
I'm with it.
good for Macklin. But next up is Joe Hendry defeating our dude Raj here, man. Good to see Raj and Shira, another tag team. Good to see them on the screen. Not happy to see them take another L, but could it lead to something else down the line? We hope so. So give me a Moose versus Bully Ray match. Yeah, man. Give me a tables match. I'll eat that shit for breakfast. But Joe Hendry's picking up the win here. And I don't know how you feel about this, man. The crowd's into it. I want him to still just keep that line of, I'm an asshole. At the end of the day, I'm an asshole here. But with these talking and he's trying to put it over, the talking just feels inorganic to me. It's not him per se. He can talk. It just like breaks up. You just had this song that went from clapping to waving to all this thing. You come in the ring, you pose, everyone cheers for you. Now you pick up the microphone. Now you talk for a minute. Too much, no? Is it just me? You're digging it?
It's, I mean, I'm digging the fact that the crowd is digging it. Um, it looks good. It looks cool. You know what I'm saying? When the crowd is like fully behind some people,
Yeah.
it's kind of showing how, in a way, if you think about it, the crowds might be changing a little bit, because you wouldn't think that someone like Heath would be over, you know what I'm saying, to the TNA Impact heads. But like, when as soon as you hear that, oh baby, everyone's just like,
Yeah.
so it's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it's possible. My thing is just and we want that to happen. We want them to buy in, even if they're not. Joe Hendry's not your guy, or Heath's not his guy or her guy. You want the reaction that they're supposed to get to be happening, and right now I think it is for Joe Hendry. The problem is maybe he should talk maybe after he wins. He makes short work of someone or in a competitive, and then he talks, and so it's not just long segment and then we know he's gonna beat someone's ass. Because once again, maybe it's my Raj bias here, but keep moving.
Because you smell what the Raj is cooking.
I do, man. I see it. I see some gold in Raj's future. See some gold in Raj. Next up is something we're going to talk about later, so I'm not going to talk about it too much. But the childlike smile that appeared on my face when Eric Young and Dina are talking backstage to someone about the power of a loss and what a loss can do for someone. We'll save that for Hot Topics. But I'm a happy camper because there's a couple people who took some losses here recently that matter. But we'll mention that in a second. Next up is Gia's sit down with Eddie Edwards. I like this because as someone who is a fan of the Interrogators and any other any other segment TNA is thrown out there like that, I love it, man. And Gia's a character as well. You sent me the thing about how Gia was being a little mean Gia Miller with the major players in Vegas. So I'm digging that, where we can have someone sit down, have an interview. Tourney, I think, was the last in a while to have a regular segment when they took him off commentary completely. And he was having some cool things like this. But this was nice. It gave Eddie an ability to talk and kind of show where he was at. Continues the PCO thing. And he just threw away Honor No More. It's done. Washed. It's over. We'll keep going here so we could keep on our time. But I think we're on the same page with that. We don't know where Eddie's going, but solo Eddie right now is probably the way to be in the short term. So see where he heads. He could be the no one AJ, right? he travels with no one.
Huh.
Right? We'll see what happens.
I was starting to think of him being the one who knows about the power of a loss.
Ooh. I like you. Let's save that for Let's save that for later, actually, because that's not who I'm thinking of. But next up's Matt and Tom, and once again, I want to give a shout out and mention them because once again, as Mike and Don were that for me, and I felt like maybe Mike and Taz as well were for some people, maybe Josh and Taz, whatever. I always love when you cut away, or when TNA or Impact had the ability, because there was a time where we couldn't.
Commentary in the fucking booth and studio,
right,
in post and shit.
So to go ringside and see our commentators who are both wonderful at what they do, bringing up the history and talking with the match compared to over the match, it is great. But also they run down, which I love that they do this, and it's a constant around this time, right before the main event. But we got next week, we got the X Division tournament continuing, where we have King versus Bailey. We have Sammy and EY, which is a first-time match. So that's crazy. Aussie Open versus Kaz and Josh, and I'm sure obviously a few more will pop up. So great there. And then we get right into our main event where, I don't know, maybe it was me. Maybe I didn't hear what it was, but this was and I guess I should have just...
use your words.
I know. It's hard. I should have just assumed, what assuming does, but I didn't know this was part of the last rodeo. A 3-on-3. I thought I don't know why
they did kind of throw that in there.
Okay.
Just like, oh yeah, by the way, this is me.
I wasn't sure if it was me and I was just spacing out, but I was like, oh shit, okay, they can't lose this. Like, you can't lose on this. But it sure as hell felt like they could have. I thought it was a damn good main event. Once again, shows the depth. We'll talk about the knockouts. Hopefully we get to that. The knockouts depth tag wise, or where it could go and where it is. But Jordan, the champion, looking strong here. Showing a number 1, obviously, in the power rankings. Yeah, your thoughts on the main event and ending the show on this?
It kind of reminded me of those old like Monday Night Raws from back in the day, where you'll get Austin, Rock, and Foley versus Triple H, Undertaker, and Big Show. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the star-studded 6-man tag.
I didn't want to.
Know what I'm saying?
I'm like ripping, but I didn't want to say it because I don't want to be like, oh my god, he's comparing this to the heyday of Raw. But I'm there with you.
It was exactly that, a star-studded 6-man tag, or 6 knockout tag, and there's story behind it. And you got the fucking world champ, the Juggernaut, bitch. And so,
oh, I'm the Juggernaut.
Yo, it's the Juggernaut, bitch.
Yeah, man. Their presentation of Jordan as well as champion this time just obliterates the unfortunate her first run. And not that was a shame, but it was just there wasn't people in the crowd, and when there was, it didn't pick up, and then But this is just
need another theme song.
Well, she had that one, and they took it away for whatever reason. So.
Yeah, what the hell?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure there's more to that. But so let's, as a sum, I thought, as a whole, rather, the main event was awesome. Exactly, I'm with you there. Didn't have the nuts to say it, but I'm glad you did. But overall, as a show, I thought it was really good. I thought it, once again, yes, it was more about progression. Than it was about, there was a lot fit in here. It was a stuffed show, as we like to call it. But overall, I'm gonna give it a solid B. I would have gave it a B plus, but too much for me. Lucha, your vote?
Yeah, I was at a B myself too, just based off the division progression that went down. Because it was like from the tags to the X division, this whole tournament here, just kind of laying everything on the table. Is a real good time for divisions that aren't the world titles. Yeah. Which is fine by me.
Yeah, Millard making a point here. Giselle curse strikes again. Yeah, I do want to mention that, by the way. There's a little story development there with Giselle obviously going for the Knockouts World instead of helping her tag team and Vex or her partners. So, but yeah, so we're both on B. What did you guys give it? Let us know in the chat. Let us know in the comments. And most importantly, make sure you vote. This was a higher vote.
We had some little D's.
We had a little D. We had one. We had a little D who went with 5%. And I just, look, there was a time where that'd be like, come on, man. And now I just shake my head and move on, because if you get your jollies for voting a D on an Impact grading thing. Oh, it still says Bound for Glory, by the way. My bad. Lazy. I got a little D this week.
Well, hey, maybe it's a long game you're playing here. Maybe you're testing the long game reaction to Bound for Glory.
Right. Well, this is definitely about Impact on Access TV, and we got C. We got 8%. Okay, maybe. I don't know. B with us with 24% and 62 with A. 62% A. So pretty good, man. I'm glad you guys are enjoying the show. Even if it's the diehards, I think they're giving you something to bite into, which is good. They're giving you something to look forward to, which is good. While, like Lucha just said, defining the divisions. And let's get right into hot topics.
Wait, I don't have my lighter. Okay.
Oh, you need it. There you go. The budget.
Shout out to Scott Demore, production budget. Also, I don't know if y'all noticed, we live in Swingers Palace tonight. You see the lights going crazy in the background.
Yeah, that's
Johnny got it lit over here.
All right. So we don't got many for you tonight, guys, but we're going to keep it fun. We're going to keep talking about some things that have been constants. Obviously, talked about the divisions. Talked about some signings and some possible signings, all that stuff. So let's get right into it, because we start off with Best Side 92. Thank you again for your comments. This week's episode was more about story progression, but some of the stories like PCO and Eddie and the Kaz Josh just aren't really that interesting, at least not so far. Lucha?
I mean, at least with PCO and Eddie, there's kind of been some roots in that one. You know what I'm saying? This hasn't been one that just kind of came out of nowhere like Josh and Kaz. It's not over, just belts and what have you. But also, I just need Eddie to not cut the same promo on PCO for 2 straight weeks, and then I will be further interested in this rivalry. He's just saying the same shit, but
yeah,
he's about on par.
Yeah, I didn't think. We're a week into. Well, if you want to take it, yes, go back. PCO and Eddie has been brewing for a long time, sometimes annoyingly long time in certain aspects, right? Eddie's a really bad leader. So let's put that in one basket. On the other hand, they have an opportunity here to just say, Honor No More's done. Now I'm just taking it out on you, PCO. Like, I don't have to mention Honor No More anymore. Let's make this a new feud, and I'm looking for that in that one. And as far as Kaz and Josh, they're 2 faces. Like Lucha said, it's sprung up in the sense of not on a real life thing, but it sprung up on the show. So no matter if it was in the works or not, it just you need to flesh out being a babyface feud for 1. 2, they're tagging this week. Let's see where the seed plants. But yeah, once again, it's a Impact Plus special.
Yeah.
So hey, we got some good matches already on there. I'm sure it's going to be a banger. There's some cool history. I don't want to jinx it because I said there's no way Kaz win the X Division title, but I think we're in the clear here. But either way, we have 3 episodes to see this play out. Once again, I don't think we're going to get something too meaty, seeing they're both going to be faces, and I'm sure there's going to be a, raise your hand kind of feeling at the end, and Kaz once again riding off into the sunset. So next up is something I want to talk about is the X Division tournament as a whole. Obviously, the champions crowned at Overdrive, so there's another match. We already have Heath and Rhino versus the major players because of Cardona winning. We have Josh and Kazarian for the world. We have the X Division tournament final as well. Black Truce advancing, so now we have Yuya and PJ Black. And then we'll have Trey advancing, and then the winner of King and Bailey this week. I think it's safe to say that it would be Bailey and Trey again in the semifinals. I don't know. We're spoiler free, by the way. Don't ruin it for us.
Spoiler free since '83.
And you gotta imagine PJ Black, a veteran. New Japan's not gonna be mad of Yuya picking up a loss there. Okay. So PJ Black versus Black Taurus, Trey Miguel versus Mike Bailey is what I'm thinking here. And I would say, at the end of the day, it's my dark horse, and it's not pun intended because he's not a horse, he's a bull. I think Black Truce takes this, man. And at least reaches the finals. With Crazy Steve coming out, adds a whole new development to hit, or another layer to his presentation. He's not just one-dimensional. That's the thing with Tarus. Love Tarus, but I tell you all the time, you can't talk. It's same with Abyss. You need a mouthpiece. You need a James Mitchell. You need that next thing to get you over. Your matches can get you over. Your look will get you over. But to sell that, to be in something deeper, to be in a blood feud, to be in an actual rival, you need to be able to chat. So now that Steve's taken that and adding that thing, there's a possibility that this might be the moment they're preparing for. Is there someone you see as the obvious here? Are we going right back to Bailey? Is this Trey's time again to launch from the next thing? PJ Black, Yuya Uemura, where there's people still Kenny King. I'm talking as if it's a fact, but
I mean, I appreciate the bracketology to the X Division title tournament. Also, real quick, let's go back. I appreciate them bringing the X Factors back to the beginning of the match.
Yep.
Like that was a dope little touch there. So I appreciate that. Back to the bracketology, you know what I'm saying? I mean, Speedball is the obvious choice because, we got to right the wrong. Trey Miguel is the obvious choice because he's like our dude.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He's like the X Division king. Torus is the obvious choice just because he's been hot as hell. Yeah. And I said it after the Revolver. Torus coming in last was interesting. So maybe because he was the last one that came in the Revolver match.
Yeah, I said that with the Revolver, man. I totally agree with the Revolver did a great job of squaring away the other challengers. Kenny King had an argument that he should be number one contender because he was just technically an X Division champion for the third time. It got taken away, but he was, so it squared that away. Him being last was a way to give him a reward for all of the streak of winning he's been on without just throwing it away.
Yep.
And then Frankie, obviously, it took, got them out of that because they had somewhere else to go with it. So, yeah, Black Truce was hot, still is hot, and hasn't lost anything one-on-one that says get down to the bottom of the of the rankings. So I don't know, man. I just think the momentum's on his side as well. I think is it safe to say we get that banger between Trey and Bailey, right?
It is. That's kind of a given.
Okay.
The one that's holding me up is PJ Black and Yuya Uemura. That one could legit go either way.
It could because obviously we have a tie to New Japan. We don't want to do him wrong, but I think the presentation of Yuya has been wonderful. Even in that Revolver, even though he lost, that was his first kind of starting to lose matches kind of thing.
Yep.
But they treat him as if he's a young lion, and they make sure the commentary puts it over. So if he loses here against a veteran like PJ Black, I don't think we're in a bad position. Former King of the Mountain champion PJ Black, mind you.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, I think it's Black Truce's time. It gives them something to do because the Death Dolls are not really part of Decay whatsoever anymore. They don't interact. But yeah, so just really cool. And one of those things that I talked about last week and I mentioned again this week is if we had not had Frankie cash in, we don't get this. And
that's true.
Is that just taking a silver lining? Sure. Depends how you look at it. Go check out my explanation of that from last week.
Do it.
Or don't. Whatever. It's your life. It's Halloween. But Halloween.
Boom!
But we also get another division that's defined not just by random challengers that Bailey had. Before it was who's going to face Bailey. I said it before. But the champion shouldn't be trying to find challengers. Challengers should be trying to chase the champion. And this right here gives us 8 dudes, 2 of which who are not with the company. So we'll say 6 that are regular players in Impact that now are all viable options for the championship. This doesn't include our guys who have won it previously in Ace and Bay. You know what I mean? And some other guys. So Hey, man. I think we're in a good spot, but this is another way of, since Bound for Glory, defining divisions.
Yep.
All right. Next up, speaking of defining divisions, and this is something we're going to kind of shoot off of. This is from WrestleZone, talking about Taylor Wilde in an interview, was mentioning that her witchy evolution, if you haven't checked out her website and her stuff, Instagram and yada yada, check it out. But she's talking about that definitely being something in play in regards to changing her character and Impact. Now, I think our eyes both lit up when we see this or we talk about it because, look, love Taylor Wilde. Totally think she can stick in just the single knockout. But right now it looks like she's getting into the thick of things with the tag and Vexed and whatever. We want more tag teams. I think that's the division that we're still hoping, right? We got Tasha and Savannah who look strong. Hopefully that's where they go. We got some play with Giselle and Dissension there with Vexed. We have still Rosemary who, is she happy with Death Doll stuff? Is she not? So there's a lot of possibilities. But where do you see this as being, one, a good thing, and two, something that just continues that?
Hell yeah. So it's anytime there's possibility for depth, that's always a good thing because you can at least see yourself getting there. So that's always a good thing. It's just the depth is it's I guess undefined because they're not pulling triggers on certain things.
Yeah.
They're holding off for certain things for whatever reason. So we're not sure. This is all just like, we can speculate what the hell's going to happen. So maybe that's what's kind of like not getting us in gear, kicking us into overdrive about the Knockouts tag division. So, I don't know, we just gotta, it's just gotta it's got to get defined. Wherever we're going, we kind of got to get there. We need certain angles that are playing up to
actually hit that. Yeah, we got to like the ignition. And what's interesting with her mentioning that is that we always say, "Oh, Sue and Havoc was what we wanted, right? Sue and Havoc. That's another tag team right there." Now we got Havoc and Ty doing the Death Dolls things. Maybe Rosemary's the one that goes heel for the first time in a long time. Sue was in full face paint and that Impact roster poster or picture that they all took at the last tapings. Look, so there's people coming back. There's people who are in trios right now that don't look like they're going to continue to be in trios. If it's Taylor Wilde and being this, if it's Rosemary, Havoc, or Taya, one of the three, if it's Giselle and Vexed, there seems just to be opportunity for multiple tag teams to be built here. What's going to be that ignition, though? And that's what I don't know if it was you that mentioned it in the chat or not, but Rosemary was dropping some interesting kind of breadcrumbs regarding her maybe taking over. So something interesting, something juicy to bite into, man. Impact's known for these undead realms and all these other things, and if she's teasing the witchy stuff, and we got Rosemary, who's not maybe the most happy with Jessica's turn. We got Sue coming back into the picture. Some fun shit's gonna go down. So I'm hoping. It was an old picture. Willie Mack was in the picture. Okay. Why would they do that?
I'm glad because now I'm not upset that I missed it.
Oh, the picture.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I just saw it quickly on I don't know where it was posted, but thanks to TNAIWChannel for clarifying that. But Sue Young still needs to come back. But yeah, I think this is just, if anything, this is just more excitement or gunpowder being laid down before the ignition's lit. So next up, we got a few from our buddy Chris Oletta here. He mentions the possibility. I always want to mention his, man. If you guys write us on Twitter as well, we'll definitely put him up here. If you take the time, and we love and respect you guys. Not only do we appreciate the comments and the tags there that could get on here, but we love you guys in the chat as well who continue to light it up on a weekly basis, man. Definitely the lifeblood of this, man. It's a great time talking to you guys and seeing your opinions as well. But Chris wants to know, Johnny with the million last names / nicknames in a while. Do you think we see him pop up at some point? / also, so we're talking about future AAA guys here. Also, Vikingo, now that his visa to travel to the States is in the clear. Lucha, your thoughts on both of them quick? And obviously Vikingo being the more exciting prospect out of this, but Johnny, a former Impact champion as well.
Well, as far as Vikingo goes, it would be cool to see him come in and run it back with Josh for the belt. Just that one alone, I'm interested in, and just him popping through the X Division would just be crazy. So anytime there's more X Division insanity, I'm always here for it. As far as Johnny, I owe him $20 and I ain't paying him. I wouldn't be against him coming back through. I think he's one. You want to talk about depth? He's better suited in like the X Division for me as well. He's real X Division-y. So keep him away from the world title, and I'm cool with Johnny. What's another one?
Impact?
No.
GFW?
Johnny
DFW?
Johnny Elite.
Johnny Elite. Ugh. Yeah, no, look, I'll two-parter here for me. Vikingo, a fan of his work and what I have seen when he would stop in Impact. Obviously everyone's raving about him still to this day. I don't know the deal. Obviously, we have a great relationship with AAA, so could it be set up? Yeah, possibly. We'll see. I don't know if I want him in the world picture, obviously. Once again, bringing in someone just to come in and say, oh, they're on Josh's level. I think we got to get away from that a little bit. At the same time, on the flip side, Johnny Impact could make that play. Do I want him to be world champion? No, of course not. But was he a world champion? Yes. Would he tear up the X Division? Sure. But coming in and being a random opponent for Josh, I have no problem with. Just because of the lineage, too. It's not like he just is once again, it's not someone coming in out of the blue that has never won a championship and saying, hey, I'm a veteran, give me a shot and give me the belt. So I'm okay with it. But I don't know, man. Ty making a lot of remarks about wanting to be an AEW, so or at least entertaining the idea. So I don't know.
I mean, you would be silly to not entertain the idea of going anywhere, but also
fair.
Also, I guess you just got to look at it. How would she? No, and not even trying to slight Ty, but how would she fare over there in that division?
Well, it's not even just that division, man. It's in general the glut of people they have, and obviously they're stacking up ROH to be something, I guess. But we'll get to that in just a moment because there's actually a couple signings that is it up next? No, we'll actually talk this first because this is what we alluded to this about the WWE thing. So Scott, or our buddy Chris again says, Good Brothers' relationship with Scott. And didn't say goodbye. I think you had mentioned that maybe they did, but could we see some small exchanges / work between Impact and WWE to get like we did get Mickey's Rumble moment? My take on that is I don't know, man. You already said the Nakamura stuff, and that was one that took me by surprise. Obviously, there's some connection there with him and Noah. What's interesting though is I can't in one breath say, well, hey, Noah's obviously not huge in the States, right? So, yeah. Okay, so I can't say that, oh, well, Triple H is okay with lending out a pretty damn big name to another company who's maybe not going to make a dent. It's not going to make a dent in the States, for one. Yeah. And two, it's, well, actually, let me flip that. So I can't say that. Yeah, right. I can't say that and then on the same side say, because of his history there and because that it won't affect WWE too much, that Triple H would do that. And at the same time, he wouldn't say, hey, Bobby Roode, okay, it would mean a lot to TNA and it's not really going to affect us in the end of the day. Hey, it might bring us some damn buzz, actually. Why don't you go play over there? So what's to say? So I can't shut off one avenue of that and say that Nakamura thing is, you know what I mean? The possibility is there. I think it really does nothing for WWE to send him to Noah. So, at the worst case scenario, it does nothing for WWE for them to send him to Impact. So the possibility, I think, could be there. So, you know what I mean? It's not like they're getting something out of this in WWE. Maybe they are.
Yeah.
Maybe there's something down the road. But if the door's open for that to happen, it makes the door seem a little bit easier to open for maybe a Rude or I won't say Styles, but a Rude kind of thing. You know?
I'll say Styles. Fuck it. Because, okay, boom, you can pull this whole thing, Ace and Bay, they're running through, they won the tag titles, we're there. Jay White comes back and he's on another loop and he's getting, if he's there long enough to, be a presence on TV for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And then boom, AJ and the Good Brothers show up in the Impact Zone, and you got AJ and the Good Brothers standing across from Jay White and Ace and Bay, and you get like this super too sweet, and then AJ and the Good Brothers just try to beat the shit out of Jay and Bay and Ace. But
someone's playing 2K a lot.
I am.
So, great booking idea. I don't know if it happens. I don't know if that we get the luck of that draw, but I think I always say this, man. I think that they don't get enough recognition of what they did in repairing New Japan and our relationship,
Ooh.
Good Brothers. And I think between what we've already established with WWE, the relationship there, I think them being there doesn't hurt our cause if that's something we're interested in. For me, it is. I'm okay with where we're at as a company to say, hey, WWE thinks that giving us someone isn't going to really hurt them, which it isn't. We're in our own lane. That's where Impact is right now. So why not take it? We're the only company that really look. AEW doesn't have, to my knowledge, a streaming service, right? Like an actual one that's theirs where they could make it's important to make content like shows and documentaries.
No, I don't think AEW Plus exists.
Okay. So the amount of opportunity, and because my point was there's a lot of former TNA guys that are obviously in AEW, but there's the company that glares out that where Impact can work with and give their video library parts, in return for things as they have done before is WWE. It makes the most sense. WWE is trying to put out more and more content for Peacock. That's what they do. So it makes a lot of sense for something maybe to be able to be worked out. Hey, you help us put together a AJ Styles biopic or whatever it is. I think there's more play and a possibility of that happening than maybe more AEW and Impact crossovers.
Especially with several H's in charge over there. Whole lot of H's might he's doing things different than Vince, so
yeah,
there may be possibilities.
Some stuff in here saying start of NXT Japan. Lucha.
That's what I was going off about, because what if that is an eventual thing to where Triple H and them just expand to Noah and make Noah NXT Japan?
I don't know. I just have a bad about them going into different countries and to NXT this, NXT that.
I mean, I wouldn't brand it as, NXT Japan. I would just fucking keep it Pro Wrestling Noah.
Yeah. It's good. All right, so here's the one that we're kind of talking about: Juice and Bandido, two people that were potential prospects for us, and I think the sound makes sense kind of free agent pickups. Obviously, didn't work out, wasn't going to happen. Both had a cup of tea in Impact and decided to go to AEW. Once again, two very talented dudes that I really hope don't get lost in the shuffle. They could be really B+ players for, I think, a lot of big companies that Intercontinental right now and stuff like that. I think Juice has it to maybe go above that as well. But Bandido's still young and developing. But super talented. Both guys would have loved
He's a former world champion.
He's a former what?
He's a former world champion.
Of where? Yeah.
Don't make me say it.
All right. So Matt Cardona is also the internet champion. So, what? What means more? Juice Robinson and Bandido, they agreed to AEW deals. Another loss there, but these are the people in the free agents that yes, we could get upset about. Or say, oh damn, we coulda, wish, shoulda, woulda, coulda. But there's no harm in losing. I don't think these guys, because once again, they were never ours to begin with. At the same time, there will be an opportunity like this where there is a Juice Robinson, a Bandido, someone who's in the flux from either leaving WWE or AEW or whatever it may be that comes available, and eventually Impact will be there ready to make that pickup. It just has to line up. It's lined up for Deanna. It's lined up for the Good Brothers. It lined up, there's people it lined up back, if you want to go farther, with Christian Cage, with Kurt Angle. There's just right time, right signing. And I think that's where we're at. We're not going to bring in someone, because there isn't anyone to throw big money at that's going to be a game changer. So let's make some good talent acquisitions that really add to the depth of this company. And I thought Juice Robinson and Bandido could have been not only depth, but higher end players. Unfortunately, they go there. Hopefully they don't get lost in the shuffle. Your opinion on that?
Well, I just feel that Bandido is going to be, Ring of Honor, whatever that is. As far as Juice, so he won't really get lost in the shuffle. He'll just pick up where he left off in Ring of Honor. Talking about Bandido, but with Juice, Juice is an interesting one. Like Datila said in the chat, Juice going to AEW made sense since his fiance is there. Yeah, I know you don't like the narrative, but that is a thing, and I mean it could get worse because Mia. Well, I don't think Mia would show up. I think Mia would just go back to a gang of H's in WWE. But she did say that she wanted to retire in Impact. I don't think she was prepared to stand on that statement so soon.
Right.
But
I don't think she's ready to retire. Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, it's the same thing as the previous topic as it is with Mia, and I think it is the same with Juice, or I don't know about Bandido, is young, but you still make an impression even if they only have a cup of tea here. Same with the Good Brothers, right? But I'm going to lose it. The Ring of Connor thing got me, man. I'm going to be honest. Critical Sting got me there. Yeah, but
crime against
to answer your point about the whatever, I don't know. The narrative that you're alluding to is I'm not a big fan of just because my significant other. It is something a variable you have to take into consideration for sure. But I just don't
travel easier.
What's that? Yeah, that's true, but I don't know. Anyone out there who's worked with their loved one all the time? It's hit or miss, right? Hit or miss.
No, we were G while we were working together, and then we went our separate ways work wise, and now we're still kicking it. So
look at that. So you could be the example of people who can work elsewhere and still survive as a couple. But yeah, no, I think they, once again, to wrap that up, I just think the Ring of Honor, it solidifies the idea that that's going to be something sooner rather than later. Juice, obviously takes another person out of Bullet Club, which sucks because I thought he could have been a player.
Does that have to take him out of Bullet Club? I think he can just kind of sort of run the AEW chapter of Bullet Club. No.
I mean, it takes him out of our Bullet Club. I'm talking about our TV.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't affect me being on AEW. It affects him not being on Impact, and he's not going to be part of Bullet Club. So that's a 2-man group right now. So that kind of sucks from that perspective, and but we'll see. There's eventually going to be that free agent signing that makes sense. But right now, it's not Juice and it's not Bandido.
Hey, it's on Bullet Club's only a 2-man group in Impact until they start adding some females in there.
They need to. I dig that.
And I'm gonna keep pushing that agenda until it happens.
And it makes too much sense because that way you don't lose any of your players. You have those 4 locked up, or at least Impact roster people that are the Bullet Club that you're using. And the same with Juice. If they were like, oh well, could Juice still work the Bullet Club in Impact? If we're getting away from that, which it seems like we are after this Kazarian Overdrive thing, let's start elevating our people. And, that's why Tasha and Savannah idea really gets me, is because it's like, that's elevating two of our own to the Bullet Club, which, puts them over even more. So, this is another one we've been mentioning, I think last week and the week before. Ads. So, yes, that Good Brother money is there. Yes, whoever else left us money is there. You said it off air. This is year 5. So maybe just budget's opening up a little bit. Either way, our buddy Javon here, first Impact Wrestling shows their commercial on Monday Night Raw. Now it's on AEW. Holy shit, what is going on? Shout out to Javon there. Yeah, I was surprised to see this because we talked about it maybe being something where Impact was, I don't say working with WWE, but like, hey, we don't know where, once again, I didn't know where the commercials were airing. But yes, handshake deal. But this means they're putting money in. Impact is putting money into advertisements, be it on Raw, be it on Dynamite. Great sign. Has to allude to the fact that they're confident where they are and where they're heading. Your thoughts on them actually spending some cash here?
I dig it. And I just had a thought to hit me. I wish I could relay this to whoever, but like, whatever market you're in, what I'm saying, just throw an ad on like local basketball joints. Like say they're coming to Tennessee on the local Memphis Grizzly basketball games. It was like Bally Sports.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Just throw an ad on there. Say, hey, we're coming. Come get tickets. Some shit like that. It seems like we might be kind of heading into the direction of doing marketing kind of sort of like that, or growing the fan base, period. Starting off with wrestling fans, which is always great. But you want to get people to fill arenas too. So
yeah, I mean, I hope that time sooner rather than later. But even if it's not, and like I told you about Bound for Glory, my brother heard a thing, and he doesn't watch wrestling for a lick, so he heard a commercial in Albany. And so obviously they're doing it in local markets as well. See Sign Guy Dudley doing his job well. Once again, I'd like to say that, but we don't know. We can, we don't know what his actual job is. It is marketing, obviously, so that obviously this would all fall into as well. But it's the same as if it doesn't matter who's in the position until the company opens the resources. So it seems to be more than just he's so smart and he's buying, whatever. No, once again, I did a whole fucking show. Excuse my language. Whole show. I'm trying to. There's the one whole show on the what I think he brings to the table, but we don't know backstage, and at the same time, he can't do what, if he's responsible for this, he can't do what he's doing unless someone in Anthem as well is saying, okay, let's go. So it is, yes, he's doing the right things. He's buying in the right 100%. To see it on AEW and to see it on Monday Night Raw is insane to me. We haven't done that since the Hogan era, it seems like, if I'm not mistaken. But once again,
the only thing that'll take it to the next level is instead of those, blanket, this is Impact Wrestling, blah, blah, blah commercials, I want to start seeing some this Thursday on Impact Wrestling commercials, what I'm saying? Maybe take it to that level.
Well, that's extra money. So I do know about that when it comes to commercials is if you pay for a commercial, whatever, it's a 30-second ad, 15, whatever yours is, 15, 30 seconds, 60, 45, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's one video. That's what it is. So that one, if I buy 12 spots on AEW, that same video will be the one for 12 spots. It's not timed. Yeah. So it really depends on how much cash they're going to spend. Great idea. But once again, this is just a good sign in general. Be it him coming up with the idea or them executing it as a company and forking over the cash for it. This is a good sign either way. Hopefully, what it means is that from this point forward, if they're so comfortable spending the money on that, it has to say that it's lining up with their vision going somewhere. If it's that rebranding, like we said, or whatever, we'll see. Parkside in there saying Anthem needs to spend more money on the product and wrestlers or sell it to someone who will. Yes, but the game is so, they're keeping it in the black. I just don't, we could talk all day about there's no other Tony Khan out there who's saying, I just need a wrestling company. I have all these millions of dollars. I don't care if I'm in the red all the time. I just want to spend. If Anthem thought they can make their money back spending on, all that, they would. But they're not. And I don't know. I don't like that argument. I just, because where's this money mark going to make their money back? Are they going to sell at arenas tomorrow? Are they going to win over AEW fans to come over to the third biggest company and root out? Are they going to take WWE fans? Are they going to bring back WCW fans from back in the day? Where are these influx of fans? Where is this influx of fans coming that's going to make all these investments in, spend the money to recoup that? I don't know. I think what they're doing is the long play of making this a financially sustainable company, which it hasn't been since I've watched the damn show, which is day one.
Since a lot of us have watched, it's rarely been, and the only time it was or was anywhere close, it immediately got flushed down the toilet.
And don't get me wrong, do I want that? Yeah, of course I would love if a billionaire bought it and tried spending the money. The problem is I don't think even if they did that the company would last 3 years, because you pull the plug after losing all that money. Eventually you can't just keep leaking money, and in a market where it's hard. Mark Cuban likes wrestling. No, he doesn't.
I mean, he's got stake in Anthem already. So
yeah, he's got like 1% or
he's on the board.
0.5%. He's on the board. Yeah. But it's not his love for wrestling that's doing that.
No, him and Steve Harvey.
Yeah. All right, guys. But we're gonna end it there. I can talk about that a little bit more as we peace out here. But obviously, I want to get over all of our shows and all the hard work that everyone on this team is doing, man. We got, obviously, GoGo Power Rankings coming up next Tuesday. You can catch Bert and Datila at 7, as well as Lucha, myself, and Johnny at LOL Triane this week. If you didn't catch last week, once again, not time-sensitive whatsoever. Totally irrelevant and stupid, but a good time nonetheless. Us in the Treehouse. It's total nonstop deletion. And then this week, coming this Tuesday, 8 p.m., is TNA, the video game story mode watch along. So watch it with us, talk over it with us, laugh at the video game, laugh at us.
I can confirm, to throw back to the total nonstop deletion, Eddie Edwards and Bobby Lashley are still fighting in the woods of North Carolina. They're
Still fighting.
Again.
But check all those out. Check out Wednesday when TABN Talking Bloody Nonsense Chats returns with Craig and Nixon and their super special guest, Zach Zodiac. Check that out. And then Thursday, of course, with them Talking Bloody Nonsense, episode 45. This is episode 115. This is Lucha. This is Jeff. We're still talking a little bit. But make sure you get the like, subscribe, all that jazz. Hit us up on Twitter. And thank you guys, if I don't get to it before the end, thank you guys for rocking with us in the chat every week. The audio listeners, YouTube listeners, thank you. One fan time. Make sure you check out Impact Wrestling this week. Sammy versus EY, King versus Bailey, Aussie Open versus Kaz and Josh. But at the end of the day, man. I'm all
for Sammy and EY. Like, ever since that gift came into existence where EY was coming in and Sammy was already in the ring, and it just looks like a collection of evil. I'm so pumped for this match specifically.
Oh wait, I didn't upload that VBD thing. The topic. That's what it was. You said Eddie Edwards. I think it's Masha. I've been crying for it, been begging for it for months. She needed to take.
Don't have anything to throw
because the L was against Jordan. It was the loss of the streak that defined her at that time. But we all know that she's more than a streak. We talked about it. She's not Crimson, right? There's more to this. More to
Masha Goldberg-ovich.
Yeah. So it would make the perfect sense. Would Macklin make a lot of sense? And that's the one I forgot to, because Chris Saletta also mentioned that. We mentioned EY and Macklin's moment in the CYS would make a lot of sense. He did lose the CYS. It would make sense but I would say screw it and bring them both. But at the end of the day, I hope Masha more so. But Eddie's another one that makes sense. Masha taking that L, when they said the power of the L, it really clicked.
Nerd question.
Yes.
Did the violence segment happen before Steve Macklin attacked Josh or after?
It was 2 segments before.
So
the violence segment took place 2 after.
Violence took place after. Okay, never mind.
2 after, yeah. 2 after. Well, either way, what's your guys' theories on that? Do you think it's Masha? I think that would be dope, and I think that would be exactly what Violent by Design needs. I think it's exactly what the evolution of Masha needs, because now no longer does she need to go just straight for the title. The title defeated her. She has to build herself back up. This is perfect.
She can just beat motherfuckers' ass.
So, either way, what we're getting from Impact is the definition of divisions. We're getting the continuity back. We're getting some nostalgia back. Let's see where if they turn it to Overdrive. That's what we're hoping for. And if it stays with Anthem or not, which is, obviously seems to. I'm only saying that because that was our last topic. I just think being a sustainable company and still putting this out and waiting to strike when the moment is right. And they're putting out ads makes me think that something else is in play. Doesn't mean huge. Doesn't need to be huge. But the fact that they've been talking about this by the end of the year rebrand, by the end of the year having an identity, we're starting to shape that. Let's get back to it. So, Lucha, you got anything you want to kick us off on?
Nah, besides the usual, shout out Diamond Villain, shout out Mike G, shout out everybody. Watch Impact Wrestling, because I was kind of down in the dumps post Bound for Glory, and especially this Vegas show here kind of got me on the right track. You know what I'm saying? So I'm kind of ready to kick it into overdrive. And
Okay.
so let's
Millard
get
in
positive.
there. Sorry,
Let's get
Millard's
happy.
saying spoiler free. It's not Masha, but I wish it was. Hey, there is time. There's time. We'll see. But yeah, sorry to interrupt you, Lucha. I just thought that was important to get in there.
That's all I did. That's all I got. That's all I had.
That's all I had. Catch us in our Nonsense Tuesday. It'll be a good time. TNA the video game, story mode, watch along.
I still haven't beat Jeff Jarrett.
That's 75% of the roster said the same thing, Lucha. All right, guys. Double J back for Impact. That's another thing, right? All right, guys. See you next time. Thank you.
Come home, Papa Jeff.
Bye, everybody.
Give me. Oh man, I almost hung up.